So the Rebbe explained, we're up to Ois Tes. The Rebbe explained previously that the kavona of the of all the creation of the Bligvul, the Nisan, is because of Tishrei. In order to be Mamshich, so first you have to create the Tishrei. So there should be the world, there should be nature. And then you want within the Gavul, within the Tishrei, to be Mamshich, the Bligvul to be Mamshich Nisan. So the Rebbe now is going to explain the question that he's asked in the beginning. So how come we no longer have Tishrei as the Rosh Chadashim? We still have Rosh Hashanah is still on Tishrei. It's still the beginning of Elikim, Teva, everything is on Tishrei, but still all the counting we only do starting from Nisan. Nisan becomes the Chodesh Harishon for everything. Why don't we have Tishrei as the Chodesh Harishon for the Chodesh Hashanah? The Rebbe explained that even in the Chodesh Hashanah, we have the two levels. We have Rosh Chodashim and we have Chodesh Hashanah. Chodesh Hashanah is the Ha'ara. It's higher than Hishtalshlus, but it's Shayches and it comes down into Hishtalshlus. The level of Rosh Chodesh, Rishon Chodesh Hazeh, that's the level which is higher than Hishtalshlus. The Rebbe explains that after we got to the Gilui of Nisan, of the higher level, the Gilui of higher Hishtalshlus, then we realize that the whole level of Tishrei is because to bring down in Tishrei the level of higher than Hishtalshalus, to bring down. And therefore Nisan becomes the main. Lechatchila, when the world was created, we didn't feel in the nature, in the Teva, that the creation is in order to bring down the Bligvul. Let's look inside. Test. Based on this, we can explain after Yitzias Mitzrayim Matan Torah, everything changed. That Gam Haminyan the Chodesh Hashanah, also the number, the count of the Chodesh Hashanah, of the month of the year, Nisan is from Nisan. In the beginning, the month started with Tishrei. As it says, Yerecha Yisonim, we learned before from the Targum Yonuson, that Ke'an, now the beginning is Nisan. In the beginning, the month was, Tishrei was the beginning of the month, started the count. But now, also the count of the Chodesh Hashanah is from Nisan. Hagam, because although Shechodshe Hashanah Heim Giluyim Hashayochim Libehabriya, Chodshe Hashanah are revelations that are connected to creation. We say the Gilui of Chodshe Hashanah is such revelation that are connected to the Bria. We said it's take higher than Hishtalshlus, but it's connected to the Bria, so it comes down in Hishtalshlus. V'shoyresh hamshochosom u'meha'oid hashayich la'oilomis. The root from where the Giluyim of Chodesh Hashanah is from the light that has a connection to the world. It's take Chodshe. It's Chidush. But the Chidush comes from a light which is connected to the world. So why don't we count that level where the light comes down in the world, continue to count it even after we have Nisan? Why don't we say Tishrei is the beginning of the light, which is Shaykh La'olamis, and Nisan will be the beginning of the month that is Shaykh to higher than Olamis, to the level of the Ein Sof Bli Gvul. The Rebbe explains why. Ki mitzad inyan v'geder ha'olam. Because really, from the perspective and the definition of the world, I efsher sheyiyeh boy hagiluyim de Chodsh HaShana. Even the revelation of Chodsh HaShana that we're talking about, Mamshich, the Eir Shaykh Libriya, the Shaykh La'olamis, we still, from world, we cannot have the Yiluim of Chodsh HaShana. Why? Because even Chodsh HaShana, that Gilui is still too high for world, from the perspective of world, can't even take Chodsh HaShana. Ki gam Chodsh HaShana hem Chadashim Meloshin Chidush. Because Chodsh, even though these are Chodsh HaShana, it comes down in the Shana, but it's Chodsh HaShana. The Chidush Chadoshim Meloshin Chidush, they're a novelty, Heipach HaGeder Doilo. So the world cannot take as it is of itself, even Chodsh HaShana, not only the Nisan, which is totally Bligvul, even the Chidush, which is in the Shana, since it is a Chidush, it means that it's not Heipach HaGeder Do'ilam. It's opposite of the definition of world. V'zeh shenimshach be'olam. And the fact that it does come down, Chodshei HaShana, it comes down in the world. Shechayusei hu meha'oir shemislabish boy. That the vitality of the world is from the energy of the light that dresses up, even though it is a chidush, it's opposite of the gather of the world. How does it come down? Agiluyim de Chodsh HaShana me'oir, Chodsh HaShana me'oir shelemaylo mi'islabshu be'olam. The fact that it does come down, the Giluyim Chodsh HaShana, from the oir that is higher than his slapshus ba'olam, and it becomes that it dresses up as a chayis of the world, meaning that in the world you're getting a level which is higher than the world. Yes, shayich lo'olamas, but it's still a chidush. Hoyo k'moy hagdama le'agilui de chadashim stam. So this was sort of an introduction later on to the level of Chadashim Stam, the level which is totally higher. The Chodsh HaShana, which started on Tishrei, was really an introduction to Nisan, because even the Chodsh HaShana is a higher level than the world on its own. It comes down, the chayis of the world is that dresses up is from a higher level, is an introduction to the level of the revelation of Chadashim Stam, which is totally higher than the world. Ha'oir shelemayla mishayches la'olamis, and higher than the shayches to the world. So, therefore, we recognize that really Tishrei is just a preparation essentially for Nisan. in order to get the oil of Nisan. And therefore, since it's preparing for Nisan, everything is Nisan, as the Rebbe will conclude. So all of the Hamshoche is really Nisan, because Tishrei is merely a preparation in order to be Nisan, so that the Hamshoche should come down. On Nisan, there had to be Tishrei, in which an oil that is shaykh to the oil should be mislabish b'pnimiyah, so we can have later on the oil which is not shaykh to oil to be mislabish. And this changed around, as the Rebbe will say. Before Yitzias Mitzrayim, before then, Tishrei was seen in of itself as not as an introduction, but as Chodshi Hashana by itself. So you started to count from Tishrei. But once Nisan came, HaChodesh Hazeh came around, it became Rishon Hu Lachem L'Chodshi Hashana. That's even the first for the Chodshi Hashana, because it was Nizgale that the purpose of Tishrei is for Nisan. So Nisan becomes the main. And the Rebbe adds that v'yesh loymar d'zeu she'omru razal. This is what our sages of blessed memory say. Mishabachar HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'olamai kova by Roshei Chadashim v'shonim. So once the Eibishter chose the world, so he set up Roshei Chadashim. So what does it mean, Rosh Chadashim? The fact that the Eibishter created Rosh Chadashim, which is the level Shem Heipach HaGeder the Olam Kinal, this is opposite of the definition of world, because the world itself is not Chidush, and this is a light which is higher than the world. Humitzad zeh shebachar HaKadosh Baruch Hu be'ilomei, because the Eibishter chose be'ilomei. What does it mean? That yesh loymar she'inyan bachar be'ilomei hu hagilui the kavonas habriya. What Hashem chose be'ilomei means that is the revelation of why the world was created, to bring down the Rosh Chodashim. The Bria Sa'olam Hoyso Kenal Beloi Ba'oifen Shaloi Hoya Nirkash Ba'akavona. Originally, it was created in a way that you did not see the intent of creation. Ukshabachar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ukshabachar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ba'ilamei, and when Hashem chose Ba'ilamei, Hizchil Lahoyir Boi Ketzas Kavonas Habriya, and then it started to shine a little bit the intent of the Bria, that it is in order to bring down into the world the level which is higher than the world. Again, Mishabochar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ba'ilomei Kove B'Rosh Chodashim, that the idea of Rosh Chodashim, which means higher than the definition of world, is then when the Eibishter chose, which means the revelation of Kavonas Habriya, so then it became revealed the intent of the Bria is to bring the Gilu the higher than Bria. need to look at this piece a little bit better, more, understand exactly. Okay, but back to the discussion over here. Elo shelifna yitzias Mitzrayim, before the exodus of Egypt, kivon shekol ha'inyonim, ha'yu oz b'meitzer v'hagbola. Before the exit of Egypt, all Inyanim was in a limited and in a squeezed way. Lochein ha'ilui sha'yonirgash ba'chidush d'chot ha'shona. What was the advantage that was felt in the chidush of Chot ha'shona? Hu rak shem l'mayla ma'agbola mamash. So Rish Chodesh was just that they were higher than Hagbola. It was Chodshei Hashona. That's why Tishrei was the first Chodshei Hashona. But after the revelation of Yitzias Mitzrayim Matan Torah, Nizgala, it was revealed that what is the chidush of the Chodshei Hashona that was before is not just that it's Chodshei Hashona, but hu hakdama la'gilu d'Yitzias Mitzrayim Matan Torah. That was an introduction to the Gilu of Yitzias Mitzrayim Matan Torah. B'lochein achshav Nisan hu rishon gam l'Chodshei Hashona. That's why now Nisan is the first also of Chodshei Hashona. The counting of the months of Nisan. Why? Because we see after Yitzias Mitzrayim, Tishrei is nothing. I mean, Tishrei is not for itself. The Giluyim of Tishrei are there for the Giluyim of Nisan. Before Nisan, before Yitzias Mitzrayim, over there we only knew Chodshei Hashona represents that they're higher than limitation, comes down, it's Chodshei Hashona. It's higher than the definition of the world. You have the Chiddush in the world. But after Yitzias Mitzrayim, when things became revealed that there is even the level of totally higher than Hagbola, Nisan. Now we see that the Chodshei Hashona are merely an introduction to the month, to HaChodesh Hazeh. And therefore, there's no point in counting anymore from Tishrei, because you see that it's all Hakdama for Nisan. So basically, after we were able to see, after Yitzias Mitzrayim, when there was Nizgala, the purpose of Chodshei Hashona, the counting begins from Chodesh Nisan, because you realize that Chodshei Hashona is for Nisan, so everything starts from Nisan, because it's all about Nisan, it's all about the higher Giluyim. Even the Chidush in Teva, the Chidush of Chodshei Hashona is really because of HaChodesh Hazeh, so therefore everything becomes the level of Nisan, and therefore the Minyan HaChadoshim is a Nisan. So when does this, the Rebbe's, by this Fabrengen, was Shabbos Mevorchim, and when they read of the Nisan, in which they read the Parshas HaChodesh Hazeh Lochem. So the Rebbe connects now, even though we're not yet in the month of Nisan itself, but that special Giluyim that we have in HaChodesh Hazeh, the special Giluyim that we have in the month of Nisan, already starts with the Shabbos of Shabbos Mevorchim. So the Rebbe says Yud, V'hinei hascholas hagilui, the chodesh Nisan. The beginning of the revelation of the chodesh Nisan, that we said now the higher level, the totally higher level of the world, Shuhu Rishon, Gam L'Chodshei Hashanah, that becomes not only HaChodesh HaZelachem, but it's Rishon Gam L'Chodshei Hashanah, it becomes the first also for the level of Chodshei Hashanah of Tava. Starts from Shabbos Mevorchim Rosh Chodesh Nisan. It starts from the Shabbos that we bench Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Now, Ubefrat, sometimes Shabbos HaChodesh is on Rosh Chodesh itself. Parshas HaChodesh is together with Rosh Chodesh. So then you don't bench in the Shabbos Mevorchim, because then you would read on Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. So you had the Shabbos Mevorchim would be the preceding Shabbos, and Rosh Chodesh Nisan you would read Parshas HaChodesh. But befrat k'shakvi is the Rosh Chodesh hu be'emtza hashavua lifnei Shabbos, when it's before Shabbos. Shos koydim ba'Shabbos lifnei Rosh Chodesh Shabbos mevorchim Parshas HaChodesh. Then we will read on Shabbos mevorchim. So Bichlal Shabbos mevorchim in of itself is already the beginning of Chodesh Nisan. But when Chodesh Nisan is the middle of the week, so we're going to read Parshas HaChodesh on Shabbos mevorchim. So it's the Shabbos before Nisan, but it's also the Shabbos in which we read the Parshas HaChodesh. Shos koydim ba'Shabbos lifnei Rosh Chodesh Shabbos mevorchim Parshas HaChodesh. Then we read Parshas HaChodesh. Balachas kama v'kama, in that year, Rosh Chodesh Nisan was on Thursday. Balachas kama v'kama, k'shakvi is the Rosh Chodesh Nisan he b'yem hey. If Rosh Chodesh Nisan is on Thursday, then Shabbos Mevorchim that precedes is on the 25th day of Adar. Balachas kama v'kama k'shakvi is the Rosh Chodesh Nisan b'yem hey. That's the way it was when they went out of Mitzrayim. The Yidden went out on Thursday, but Shabbos Mevorchim is on the 25th. Sha'oz Hakvi is the Shabbos Mevorchim Nisan, or the Shabbos Parshas HaChodesh. So then the Shabbos that you bless the month of Nisan, and it's also the Shabbos Parshas Brit HaChodesh, U'B'chof Adar. That's on the 25th day of Adar. That Shabbos was the 25th day of Adar. Shaboy Allah b'machshava livres olam. On the 25th day of Adar, which the thought to create the world, as the Rebbe brought down, that the world originally machshava was on the 25th day. That was the very first day. The machshava zu. This thought, hi hakavona v'hatachlis shel habriya b'poel. That's the intent, the purpose of the actual creation, was that machshava. That what? Shagam b'hagvul de'olam k'may shenivra b'tishrei, that even in the gvul of world as it was created on Tishrei, yiyagilu oines of abligvul nisan. You should be the revelation of the Ein Sof Abligvul, which is Shal Yidei Zeh. So it means that day that the Rebbe was saying the Maimer, it starts on Shabbos Mevorchim. Shabbos Mevorchim, you're reading the Parshas HaChodesh, and it's on the 25th day of the month when there was the Machshava, which includes the purpose of creation. We said before that the two opinions between Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Eliezer when the world was created. So we said before that in the Kavanah, the world was created in Nisan. So it means that the 25th was the day that actually the world was created b'machshava, because in Maisa was created the 25th day of Elul. So since it's the kavone, that's the purpose of what should take place. So we're now at that mimer was given at the time, and the purpose is there should be Eirin Sof Ablikvul Nisan in the Gvul of Olam. And that Chali Dezen Nishlemes Hakavona de Direlo Yizbara B'Tachtoinim. That is how the Eibishter's intent of having a dwelling place B'Tachtoinim is accomplished. The Gilu Zeh Yiyer B'iker B'Geula HaSido. This revelation will mainly be in the forthcoming Geula, when we will actually experience that level of the Bligvul, because now we don't see that level of really Nisan. And that's bound to happen. The Benisan Nigalu, Benisan Asidin Ligoil. Sages tell us at Nisan they were redeemed, and they're going to be redeemed on Nisan. So therefore, it is the opportune time for that tremendous gilui of the Ein Sof. So the Rebbe said, V'yirotzen. The Rebbe ends with a bracha, that V'yirotzen. Dagam shenimtsoim nadayim b'chodesh Adar. We're still in the month of Adar. Shagula de Purim hi be'oifen sha'akati abdi achashverosh shana. Even though Purim was a redemption, but it was in a way, the Gemara says, we still remained slaves of Achashverosh. Akati Abdi Achashverosh Anan. It wasn't like a full Geula, because the Yidden remained in exile then. They were redeemed. They tried to, Haman wanted to annihilate them, so they were saved. But we still remained slaves of Achashverosh. This is similar, but Dugmas Sheberesh Hashanah, similar that we say in Rosh Hashanah, the work stopped from our fathers, which means there was a level of redemption on the time of Tishrei, but it didn't really take them out of Mitzrayim yet. Even afterwards, they were still in the exile of Mitzrayim. Afa became, so the Rebbe says, so now we're still in Oder. Afa became, Kivon shenimtsoyim kvar b'chof hei Oder. Since we already find ourselves on the 25th day of Oder, which is Hascholas Hagilu de Nisan. I mean, what we're learning now, we're actually chof hei Oder. We actually we're Chofei Oder. It's not Shabbos like that time, but over here is Chofei Oder. The Rebbe says on the 25th of Oder, which was the machshava to create the world, that's Hascholos Hagilu de Nisan. That's the beginning of the revelation of Nisan. So the Rebbe says, Harei roi v'nochin. It's proper, it's fitting. V'chulu sha'geula tiyeh b'chodesh Oder. That we should have the redemption of Oder. We don't have to wait for Nisan, because b'Nisan nigalu, b'Nisan asin ligoel, it should come now. It's fit, because it's the 25th of Adar, which the kavone to create the world is revealed, and that's for the Giluim that will be with Mashiach, the level of Bligvul. And therefore, we have to be redeemed in Nisan. So the Rebbe said we can be revealed now. Ubevoy Chodesh Nisan, when Chodesh Nisan will come, Niya Kvar Hamayim Edumatzav the Geula Amitis. Then it will already be the situation will be the true redemption. So don't worry about that the Geula has to be in Nisan. It's okay. The Geula can be Chof Hei Oder, even though it's still Oder. Because we already have the Machshava, the purpose of creating of the world. Okay, Pisgah, and so that when Nisan will come, will already be in the Geula. As the saying, the known saying of my father-in-law, the Rebbe, the fact that we say next year in Yerushalayim, coming year. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, what does it mean? We don't want to wait till next year. So he explained that we should be in Yerushalayim immediately so that next year's celebration will be in Yerushalayim. So the Geula should take place in Oder, so that in Nisan will be already in the Geula. So like he explains, the Shana Abba Yerushalayim means that the Geula should be immediately. So the celebration next year will be in Yerushalayim. The Kumokein who benegela Maimer Azal benisin asidim ligoil. The same thing is to the saying of our sages that on Nisan they're destined to redeem, means not that they need to be redeemed them, but by then they will be already redeemed because Chofei Oder they went out of exile. And will eat there from the Korban Zevach and the Psochim. That will be, of course, with the Geula Shlema. That's from the Haggadah. And so what the Rebbe basically explains that the change of Tishrei not being anymore the beginning, even of the Chodshei Hashanah, because after Yetzias Mitzrayim, it was revealed that this is also only a preparation to be Mamshich Nisan. So there is no point to count from there that the Chodesh Lachem, it becomes also a Rishon L'Chodshei Hashanah. So in the beginning, before we had the revelation of Nisan, we looked at Chodshei Hashanah. That was a chidush into the Shana, that to be mamshich the level of higher, the level of chidush in the Shana. But afterwards becomes the main thing, that which is the Nista Blikvul of the Chodesh, which will essentially be with the coming of Mashiach, with the Geula. And the Rebbe explains in this Ois how all that time of Shabbos Mevorchim is connected already to Nisan, and especially that it's the 25th. So Mashiach should already come down. There's a Gili from Nisan, which is not really visible today in Golus, but when the Geula Hasidah should be, and it's appropriate, and therefore when it comes Nisan, will be already in the redemption. Okay, leave it over here, and then we'll be Mamshich Nedin.
Thank you very much.
For some reason, you're. Oh, now I could hear you. Yeah. Okay. Now I could hear you. Before I couldn't hear you. Okay.
Have a good day. Thank you very much. Bye bye.